Before I start, I just want to say, I am not against the practice of swapping fictional characters' races in film adaptations. This video was made to talk about the problem with the people who are against it, while trying to understand their point of view, and helping those people understand why it doesn't matter. We good? We good. So on one hand, we freaking won! Let's go! The Percy Jackson show is just barely coming out before the end of 2023! But while we're on the subject... Shut up! Picture this. A new live-action version of a Disney classic or adaptation of a book or show was recently announced. You might be excited, you might be disappointed in our capitalist society, but whatever the case is, you think of the actors that could portray the characters. There's just one thing that the casting crew thought of that, let's be real, you probably didn't. When thinking of who could be the live-action version of the character well known for how they look, your mind likely directs to, well, actors that look like them. You're not in the wrong for having that thought process. That's just the human brain being itself. The people who cast the characters, however, hold auditions. By doing so, they see firsthand just how good people are at acting, or singing in some cases. If the part was given to someone who is not the same race as the character was previously iterated, people may get upset. On the one hand, I get it. But is it really worth getting upset over when you haven't even seen the actor in action, let alone verbally expressing distaste or anger towards the actors or the people who cast them? Well, no. Those are all preconceived notions. You knew the character was white, so of course you expect their live-action counterpart to be white. Really though, what's the big deal if they're not? People like to say, I'm not racist, but... and then go on to make a blatantly racist statement. And whoo boy have the black actors in Disney's recent live-action entertainment been subjected to this by audiences. Why is Ariel black? Why is Snow White black? Why is Annabeth Chase black? And they mean all this in the most complainy, negative, and critical way possible. You can hide behind the I'm not racist excuse for as long as you want, but people will see straight through it eventually. Everyone has a biased mind. It's truly how we navigate the world around us. When meeting someone else, you automatically encode their age, race, and gender. If one of those things is hard to determine just by looking at the person, or it's not what you expected, that gets the brain a little freaked out. It's just very far from what you're naturally used to taking in. When the casting of the main Percy Jackson trio was announced last year, I admit that even I was a little jarred when I saw this image appear under Annabeth's name. Yes, of course I thought Annabeth's actress would be white, because she canonically was in the books, and the whole point of this series is to champion a more accurate Percy adaptation than those demigod-awful movies. However, as some time passed, I decided I was ready to welcome this young actress with open arms. To be honest, I felt better once I saw this picture. My problem wasn't so much the skin color, despite it not being what I expected, but Leah Jeffries just looks old to play a 12-year-old in this photo. This one, though, with a couple of other people around her age for scale, I guess, reassured me. But some other fans were not so gracious. To where Rick Riordan had to call them out on it. Riordan was the one who spent a year trying to find the best fit role for the character he created. If you're a Percy Jackson fan who was disappointed in the actors cast for their skin color, and literally nothing else, why can't you trust word from the guy who wrote the books you like so much, that Leah Jeffries was the best Annabeth out of everyone who auditioned? Why did people have beef with a mermaid being black, rather than trusting that the casting team knew what they were doing and that Halle Bailey could sing, which she very much can? Actually, about that. So you know how they had Bailey dye her hair red to fit the character? Yeah, that was scummy on Disney's part. If you want to promote diversity and give the role to a woman with a beautiful voice who happens to be black, at least freaking commit to it instead of making her give up her natural hair color for one that usually belongs to white people. I really feel like I shouldn't have to say that, but here we are. Therein lies another counterpoint. You could mention that Annabeth being a blondie was kind of intended as a subversion of the dumb blonde trope, what with Annabeth being a daughter of Athena. But if you really think about it, does that really have a big enough role in the story that it would drastically alter the plot if it was left out? If the author of the books doesn't think so and isn't making Jeffries dye her hair blonde, take note Little Mermaid, why should you? If you happen to be blonde, are stereotyped as dumb because of it, and wouldn't feel seen if the character who you felt represented by in the books wasn't recreated in the show in the same way, then sorry, that's kinda petty of you, since it doesn't really change the story. There are other examples of race swapping that have been announced, but you haven't even seen those yet, so there's no reason to complain. And that's ultimately my point. You should know that the ability to act doesn't have to do with the color of one's skin. Nobody comes into life choosing what race they want to be. It's out of anyone's control. So to discriminate against black actors for not looking like a previous version of them did, when there's really nothing they can do about that, is to punish them for living. This is why the whole "I'm not racist but" excuse slowly becomes less and less valid. We all have bias, but you're choosing to judge these actors based on the color of their skin, rather than giving them a chance. In doing so, you're refusing to work around your bias, even though you absolutely can. When it comes down to that, you have only yourself to blame. You're saying, I'm not racist, I'm just doubting how appropriate these actors are for their roles because they're black, and for no other contributing factors like their performance and portrayal of the character, which I haven't even seen yet. And if you can't hear yourself by that point, I don't know what to tell you.